Okay, so the live stream is up and running, and we are on the ground at Leeds Bradford Airport in Microsoft Flight Simulator with the Inibuilds Airbus A300. Let's just check the volume levels before we get any further, and it's all looking fine. So, we're going to zoom into the air above Leeds Bradford and pan the camera around. We're going to come back in and look around the airfield before we get started. So it's quite a short flight, shouldn't take too long, but we're going to look at both airfields and the aeroplane along the way. So this is Leeds Bradford Airport. This is going to be a night flight, unless we change our mind. I think it's quite interesting to do a night flight from time to time. We've got live weather as well, so we'll just have whatever weather we encounter along the way. So coming into Leeds Bradford, you can see exactly what it looks like here. It's really nicely done. This isn't the way in, is it? I'm going the wrong way. Oh my word, I'll get told off. Do you know what? I don't really mind. So, come past all the advertisements for the various holiday companies that have got placards around the airport. I wonder if they pay the scenery developers to keep their labels. So here we can see it's even got glowing in the night look. It looks really nice, doesn't it? So this is the main entrance for passengers into Leeds Bradford Airport. So we're going to have a good nosy around the airport before we get going. She's a bit excitable, doesn't she? I do like seeing the figures around the airport. It does add something to it. I mean, okay, they're not moving or anything, but it makes it seem a little bit more alive than it otherwise would. They're not going to make much progress in the queue, are they? Seeing as there's no check-in staff working by the look of it. So let's go and fly back up the concourse here towards Jet 2. So my word, there's a lot of red tape around here. This comes back up to the top end of the airport, and there's all the tape to manage the queues, so we can pretend and stand behind here. It's a shame we can't click the start button, isn't it, and go and program our flight in. Okay, I'm not sure if we can get through to the other side of the airport from here. We'll try. We'll see what happens. No. So we're going to have to see what we can do. Is there a way around? No, I don't think there is. It's not perfectly modelled. You wouldn't expect lifts and stairwells to be modelled though, would you? So you've got cafes as well around the airport. This is a bit of a masterpiece, isn't it, really? So this is Leeds Bradford, available from Inibuilds. It's a lot of detail in it, an awful lot. So yeah, look, they've got some fake rooms here and there. It's very clever how it's done. Yeah, those are fake ones. Look, there's a certain look to them when they're not real. It's a very clever 3D trick that minimises the stress on the system. So around this side, look, we've got some business class lounges by the look of it. The Runway Club. Interesting. There's the Yorkshire Lounge we're just coming up to. My word. It's interesting it's called the Yorkshire Lounge when it's got pictures of London on the wall. And I think we've got Sophie Rayworth, is that? Reading the news. It's really nicely modelled though. So let's go back out along the flight line, see what else we've got. So there's some more areas here that we couldn't get to easily. It is amazing, isn't it, the amount of modelling in these structures these days. And we'll get picky about this and say, oh, you know, it's not quite as good as this airport or that airport. But you go back a few years and none of the airports anywhere had anything like this. I mean, we've got animated luggage carousels. It's madness, isn't it? Very, very cool. So basically every obvious area of the airport has been modelled. Absolute craziness. And we haven't even started to look around the airfield itself. Obviously it's dark, so we're not going to go too far with that tonight. But all these different luggage conveyor belts have been modelled in. It's mad, isn't it? All of the roof structures. I don't think we've even been into this area, have we? So obviously it's duty free and the food hall, Burger King. Depends if you call a Burger King food or not, I guess. More duty free. All the usual brands. If anybody's flown anywhere recently, it's always the same, isn't it? Everywhere around the world, always the same brands in the duty-free halls. I don't think that goes anywhere. Hope Burger King paid them for the product placement. So there we go, back out of the front again. So, if we go and have a look, you can see there's operations going on around the airport around us. We're not going to be using Say Intentions today. I just want to be able to focus on the aeroplane as well. So you can see it's a very populous area around here. So you can see the city stretched out next to the airport. And you can see there's our aeroplane down here. And there's an AI plane malfunctioning, turning in circles over there. So we'll keep well away from him, hey? Well, I presume it's an AI plane. It could be a human, of course. Looking for their 5 minutes of fame. You never quite know. Here's our A300 we're going to be flying. Courtesy of Inibuilds. So if you've not seen the A300, I think it's worth having a pan around. You can see it models the wing flex. The entire aircraft is modelled in extreme detail. I have not flown it for ages, so don't expect wonders from me this evening. I am going to be rusty. I am going to make mistakes, but I'll do my best. So we're going to have a look around some of the structures of the aeroplane. It really is a bit of a masterpiece, this aeroplane. So you'll have seen Inibuilds modelled the A310 for Flight Simulator and included it with the simulator. So this is a slightly older model, and it's oops, I'm just trying to slow the camera down. It's modelled, as you can see, in extreme detail. Every spring, every cable, every nut, every bolt, every line, it's just ridiculous. Even the clasps on the engine covers, look, which we'll remove those in a few minutes. So we go and jump into the cabin. You can see the cabin is modelled as well in ridiculous detail. And so is the cockpit. We haven't got proper uniforms on today, I'm afraid, because I didn't get around to changing them. So we've got the most casual flight crew in the world. But it's yeah, it's a bit of a masterpiece, this aeroplane. No matter how close you get to it, it just looks photographic. It's mad, isn't it? Even as far as the breakers, it's just absolutely incredible, the level of detail and the resolution of the textures and the material modelling. Okay, so we've had a fly around looking at the aeroplane. We've had a look at Leeds Bradford. I think it's time to get on our way. So we're going to put the Xbox controller down, which is controlling the drone camera. We're going to press Shift and X to put our normal view back, press Shift and C to go outside. I'm not sure if we can interact with these, or I think we have to do it via the tablet. I don't think I can click on them. No. So they haven't implemented that in it. But that's fine. Just making sure that we haven't got any pitot covers or anything that I have to go and click on. So, first things first then. Alt and 6 takes us over to the tablet. And we're going to go into the ground equip app. And we're going to make sure GPU is connected, otherwise it wouldn't say remove GPU. Then we're going to go Alt-1 to go overhead, and we're going to go and turn the batteries 1, 2 and 3 on. Okay. And external power if it's available. And it is. So let's just familiarise ourselves with a quick look around in this cockpit. So we got the belt signs over here, we got the dome lighting here. We'll turn the dome lighting on and put it on bright, mainly so you can see. We don't really need to worry about normal conventions about keeping the cockpit dark at night. So yeah, we've got the fuel pumps in the middle. Hydraulics. A lot of this will be preset in the right places. I'm going to work through a checklist that I've written up. I should have put a link in the video. I'll try to do it afterwards. A link to the checklist I'm working through, so it kind of shortcuts everything you need to do along the way. So we need to go and turn the APU on and hit start for the APU, and that will fire up the auxiliary power unit for us. Then back overhead, we're going to go and rotate each of the inertial navigation system switches to or inertial reference system, I should say. And it comes up, saying align mode for each one, which is good. And we can put the DISP switch to HDG STS. Then we can go down to the MCDU, clear out any messages. It's telling us to go and align the IRS. Yeah, we're busy doing that. And we can press init to set the route. We're already on the init page. Align the IRS. It should appear here, but it doesn't. I don't think it actually appears until you've put in your from and to, which we're going to go and do next. So we're going to go and look at SimBrief. We've got SimBrief in operation. So EGNM to EGJJ. EGNM to EGJJ. Align IRS, there it is. Okay. And then we're going to use the tablet performance numbers to go and set some of this stuff up. So, can we not go and fetch the route? Let's just try this a second. So, Alt and 6 brings us back to the tablet. Go to My Flight. So that's already come in from SimBrief. We'll import from SimBrief again, just to make sure it's there. Oh, we've got the wrong aircraft type in SimBrief. Let's go and edit the flight then. So presumably it wants the B4600. Generate flight. And refresh. Import from SimBrief, and it's happier now. There we go. So, if we go to the weight and balance, takeoff, I'm just reading through my own notes. Use the tablet performance app to get set performance data. So has this changed? Yes, it has. I'm going to have to update my notes, aren't I? So in ground equipment, you've obviously got the defaults for that. In weight and balance, you've got the... So we can update this from SimBrief, apply the load to the aircraft instantly. We can come back out, go to takeoff, and we can sync, and then we can calculate, and that gives us our numbers to go and program everything in. We can't send it to the airplane, which is interesting. So we got the fueling the aircraft finished. It'll complete in 2.5 minutes. So we'll let it get on with doing that because we've got other things to do. Okay. So I'm just reading through my own notes here. So we could go and program the route in completely, couldn't we? So cost index, let's go and have a look at SimBrief. So we got 15. Cruise flight level 340. Flight ID VFA073, and then go next page, and we want to go and put these numbers in. Now, will it help us? Yes, it will. 0 fuel weight, will it help with that? Yes, it will. Oh, that's really handy. And centre of gravity, will it do it for us? No, it won't. So we go Alt and 6 to come back over to the tablet, and we'll leave that doing what it's doing. Centre of gravity 29.9. So shift and, well, no, what was it? Alt and 4. Oh, this is a 0 fuel weight centre of gravity. That's the gross centre of gravity. Where do we get it from? That's a really good question. Zero fuel weight 28.02. Which is 28.0 essentially, because we have to round it. Next page brings us back round, and that's fine. So then we can go to flight plan. And interestingly, it hasn't got the routing. Does that mean that this can't load a SimBrief route for us? Let's go and have a look. Have we got ACARS? Request SimBrief. There we go. Which will probably have filled in all the data for us as well. Maybe not though. So let's go and look at flight plan. Yeah, we got the flight plan now. So we just need to do the departure and the arrival. So we're doing the Pol 2X. So there's Pol, which makes sense. So then the SID, well, what runway was it? Runway 14 and Pol 2X. Runway 14 and Pol 2X is the standard instrument departure, and insert that into the flight plan, and it's done it. Then we can scroll through, make sure there's no discontinuity there. We need to get down to the end. There's Jersey, so we'll select Jersey and choose the star for it. We're doing the Big N 1K onto runway 08. So ILS for 08 and Big N 1K. And do we have any transitions? Is there a big no transition? I don't think there is. No. So we just insert that, and let's have a scroll through and see if there's any discontinuities there. No, big no is on the route, so then it goes into the Big N 1K into Jersey 08. So that's all good. Well, that was straightforward, wasn't it? So, just having a quick look. Got to do the takeoff numbers, so Alt and 6 will bring us back over. I don't think it will do this for us, so we have to go look in takeoff. So 135, 135, 137. So it's just 135. Yeah, 135 and 135 for our purposes. It's ages since I've done this with this aeroplane, so it's a bit of a voyage of rediscovery. And then approach, we can leave that alone for the moment. Back to the flight plan page, and we're pretty much good to go with that. I'm just having a think through what else we need to look at. I think that's pretty much it for the flight plan. So ground control goes to on overhead, and then no smoking, and seatbelt signs go to on. Lights, strobe goes to auto. There it is. And nav and logo goes to 1 or in the middle. So ATS to on or up. And that's a good signal that the IRS system is aligned, that is allowing that to stay up. It won't without it. And we've done the pitch trim, yep, and the yaw dampers. That's good. So window heaters all to on. So there's the window heaters, and the probe heats can come on as well. Flight guidance control panel. So the decision height goes to on, and we set it to -5 for takeoff. Then primary flight instruments, we're going to calibrate the altimeters by pressing comma. Going to uncage the standby. I'm just going to give the stick a wiggle. It's not stable, is it? Let's pull the plunger on the standby attitude indicator, let it stabilise, then let go. Just watching this stick, there's a bit of drift in it. I'm not sure if that's going to cause us any issues. Okay, so carrying on down, we've got the airfield elevation for the destination here. So what is the destination elevation? It's about 300 feet, isn't it, or 200 feet? Let's just have a quick look in LittleNavMap. It's a nice quick way of being able to do this. You just click on Jersey and go to overview, elevation 277, so it's 300 feet essentially. So we'll just whiz that round to 300. Okay, so overhead, we can turn the external power off because we're running on the APU now, obviously. So external power off. Go back over to the tablet, go to the ground equipment, get rid of the GPU, remove the covers, remove the chocks. So then we're getting ready to start the engines now, so the beacon light comes on. And put all the fuel pumps on. Galley on so they can make cups of tea and coffee. So APU bleed. X feed is showing a vertical line. APU bleed goes to on, and it should switch around. There it goes. And we'll just do actually. This does have pushback controls, doesn't it? So let's just go and double check where we are. We're taking off runway 14, so we want to be pushed back and to the right. So if we go Alt 6, and it's probably in here, isn't it? Yeah, here we go, look. So we can push back, and that will push the truck up to us. And then we'll come off the parking brake. wait for the truck to snap into position. Parking brake. So is it going to go the wrong way? I think it is, isn't it? So we want to go that way, please. Still hasn't got a clue, has he? It's gone the wrong way twice. I think we've broken the simulator. Pushback has never been very well implemented in the sim. So we've got an invisible tractor that's given up the ghost, and he's now using force powers to push us. So what we'll press is Alt and P to stop the pushback happening, I think. And put our parking brake on, and we're going to gum the airport up for a few moments while we fire the engines up. So, to start the engines, we're going to go overhead, and we're going to put the ignition to System A. We're going to open starter number 2, come down into the cockpit, and you'll be able to see here, look, N2 is coming up. When N2 comes through 20%, we can advance the start lever for engine number 2. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. And watch the numbers come up. Let's have a look from outside. Do you know, I'm not happy about this stick moving around. I'm going to unseat or turn off the joystick. Is it still wiggling? No. It's still doing it, look. With no joystick plugged in. Oh, it's the Xbox controller, of course it is. So I'm going to take off the Xbox controller. It was causing it. It's now absolutely fine. There was a conflict there. Okay, so engine number 2 is up and running. So back overhead, we're going to go and open the valve for engine number 1 for the compressed air from the APU to spin up the engine. You can see N2 is coming up, that's the turbine speed. So as it comes through 20%, we'll go and advance the start switch. Side. So the heat's pouring out of the engines now. While we're waiting for that, let's go and turn the taxi light on. If I can find it. It's the landing light, nose light, there we go, taxi. Okay, so engine up and running. Why have we got a yellow system low on the hydraulics? Both engines are running. Let's have a look overhead. We've got faults on. Have we got faults switched on? And can we? Okay, let's go and have a quick look in the tablet. It may be that the faults are enabled and the aeroplane has actually some problems. So we want aircraft and maintenance. We're going to fix everything. And has it fixed it? Low pressure. So let's turn, oh, it might be because of the APU actually. Let's go and turn the APU off, because we don't need it now. the APU bleed can come off. It's still showing speed brake faults, spoiler faults. Who's an expert on the A300 then? Yeah, we haven't got the oxygens yet either, so that's something else to look at. But I'm more interested in why there's a fault with the hydraulics. Low pressure. Well, there's a mystery for you. We appear to have an aeroplane that's going to go out of service unless we get it fixed. Don't think this works like the we can go and get the winds while we're at it. So we're pending the winds. Why do we have a hydraulic fault? I'm just going to sit on the brakes for a moment and open the engines. We've got 0 on the yellow system. This is absolutely bizarre. Unable to remain when the engines are running. So what we might have to do then, we're going to cause the aeroplane to be late, aren't we? We're going to shut the engines back down. We're going to have to put the APU back on. Yeah, we're going to go dead doing that. I did that the wrong way around. We're going to have to start the APU back up. Hopefully it will come back and not have forgotten everything. I should have got the APU back up and running before we stopped the engines. So don't do as I do as I say. Yeah, it's cut everything, look. So we're going to have to reprogram. It won't take long. So I guess the story there is this aeroplane went out of service essentially while we were getting ready to go because it's realistic and it had a problem. And that's when you get pushed back to the terminal. Come on, Mr. Airbus, fire up your APU. We want some power, please. There we go. Let's just check. Yes, it's still got the route. We got away with it. So we've got no engines running, which should mean we can service the hydraulics. And how long is that going to take? 15 minutes? Can we finish it now? Yes, we can do it immediately. So let's go and start the engines again, shall we? So we are going to... We've still got it on crank. We'll need the APU bleed on, and we'll need... Yeah, we've got it open. And N2's coming up. So rather than pushing back to engineering and getting somebody to come out and look at the hydraulics for us, we had the engineer run out to the airplane on the tarmac. It would have been a lot smoother if I'd started the APU before I stopped the engines. Obviously we run out of power. Yeah, because the engines provide the electricity. And in their stead, the APU should have, but I switched it off in the wrong order. So let's see if it starts up this time and we haven't got a broken aeroplane. But isn't it great in these better aeroplanes how you can work through the problems? Okay, so that's engine number 2 running. Open the valve on engine number 1. And here we go again. We'll be back in business in a moment. Meanwhile, there's probably a queue of aeroplanes behind us, isn't there? Oh no, it's just quiet out here anyway. So, coming up through 20%. And advance the start switch. And let's have a look. If we go to the hydraulics page, it's still showing 0 on the yellow system, but it's not showing a fault anymore. Nope, it's done it again. Why do we have no hydraulics on the right hand side? So our last course to fix this is to go to, I can never remember where this is. Is it in the cog at the top corner of the tablet? Ready for takeoff. Confirmed. And it's still showing 0. Is it a bug in the aeroplane? Well, this is turning into an unintentionally exciting flight, isn't it? I'm just going to go and turn the dome lighting back on so you can see. So why is it not tripping an error this time, even though it's showing 0 on the yellow system? If we look overhead, we've got low pressure on yellow. I don't understand. We'll see. We'll see how we get on. It might be a bug. I don't know. So it's saying temperature is in the icing range. So we're going to go and put the anti-ice on. So it goes to continuous ignition. We probably don't need that. Have we got the taxi lights on? No, it's gone to take. Obviously, it's gone for ready for takeoff. So we're going to take the landing lights off for the moment. I don't know what was wrong. It's above my pay grade to know what was wrong with the aeroplane there. Apparently, we have no head tracking. So I'm just seeing if I can sort that out while I'm at it. Why do I have no head tracking? Here we go. Head tracking's just come on, hopefully. Just having a think about it. Everything's trying to go wrong that can go wrong tonight, isn't it? I just realised the lights have gone out on the Toby. Working. It's working. Hurrah. It just took a while to wake up. The only reason I like having it on is because it makes taxiing a lot easier than it otherwise would be. Especially in the dark. So we're going to go down runway 14 and then backtrack. So to get to runway 14, we turn right and then left and then right. How is the volume, by the way? Oh, it's going to be really loud, isn't it, if we leave it like that? So we're going to turn the aeroplane down a bit so you can hear me over it. Yeah, so if we have any real-world Airbus pilots see this video, they'll probably be as mystified as I am about why I suddenly had the hydraulics warnings. There may be something I missed in the checklist, I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to put the flaps to takeoff position as well while we're at it. So they are travelling as we speak. So there should be a nice, yeah, there's a turn off to the right, look, and it loops around to come back onto the runway to turn around easily. So there's a few other bits and pieces we haven't done yet in the middle of all of that mayhem, which will get fixed in a moment before we come back out onto the runway. So I'm going to hold short as we turn around the corner here. I just want to go and check a few things that we have missed. So flaps should be 15, and they are. This needs to be armed. Done the lights. We want to go and set the runway direction is 138 degrees. So we'll go and set that on the heading select, 138. We can use heading select mode, or we could go for nav mode, which is the same as LNAV, essentially, in a more modern Airbus. Or not LNAV, managed heading mode. This is kind of a weird mixture between the Boeing and the Airbus worlds as they figured out how to do things. If we go straight for 34,000, and we'll do profile mode to get there. It'll be interesting, but we'll also go vertical. So if we go and say we want to climb at 2,500 feet a minute off the runway, is it going to let us do that? I bet it won't let us do both at the same time. We could always do level change as well. Notice level change zeroes that out, so that's interesting that that won't allow that to be chosen. Yeah, look, while that's on, it won't have it. Anyway, we won't worry too much about that. We can always react as we go. So have we got the strobes on? Yep. So it's been unintentionally exciting already, which gives you just an inkling of just how much fun this aeroplane is. So you can see the navigation is good. Anti-ice is on. TCAS is only on standby at the moment. We'll have a look at that once we've lined up. Actually, we're going to go... This is quite a short runway for this aeroplane, so there's somebody coming in the wrong way. So we're going to hold short here, and it's probably an AI aircraft, to be honest. If I go... was it? Control-O-N. Yeah, it's an AI aircraft flying the wrong way towards the airport. Against the wind. Oh, sorry, with the wind, I should say. I was going to go and set TCAS up, wasn't I? I'll turn the head tracking off. I can never remember where this is. There it is. Okay, so we'll just wait for this AI generated aircraft to come in with the wind. And then we'll get on our way. It may be that that won't engage while the autopilot isn't on, if that makes sense. It's so long since I've flown it, I can't remember. And where does he think he's going? Well, I'm not reversing. The AI aircraft are hilarious, aren't they? There's another one coming in behind him in the mist, look. So we're going to just go, rather than wait all night for AI planes that are not going the right directions. .100 knots. Rotate. I just forgot to turn head tracking on, didn't I? So we couldn't actually see around. Gear up. There. These reflections aren't doing much to help us, are they? I think the trim is massively out. That's half the problem. Yeah, it was. These reflections are really awful because they give you a sense that the aircraft's rotating when it isn't. You end up looking at this the whole time instead. Oh, shush. I'm having to hand fly it because the autopilot won't switch on now for some reason. Known only to itself. Ah, when this... Yeah, look. We haven't got all of the systems. Okay, this aeroplane is broken. That means that the guidance systems aren't aligned. So when we rebooted the aeroplane, no, the hydraulics have gone again. I think the aeroplane is bugged. We've lost hydraulics again, right-hand side again, or sorry, the yellow system, even though we did a full service on it and tried to trick the plane into behaving. We thought this might happen because of that being at 0. How bizarre. So what we're going to have to do then is either we start again with a different aeroplane. Yeah, should we do that? That'd be quicker and easier, wouldn't it? So we're going to go main menu, main menu. We're going to come back with an aeroplane that we know works. Or that doesn't have servicing issues. There may be a real problem. Oh, look. I think the A300 still causes this problem. Yeah, it's broken the sim. So what we're going to do is shut the sim down and end task. Give it a few seconds to cool itself down. And then while we're waiting for that, rather than waste the time, we'll edit this flight. And we're going to change to, should we use the A320, the Phoenix? Generate the flight. I wonder how different it will be. 33,000 feet, so not so different. So we're just waiting for Flight Sim to load back up. That's frustrating, isn't it, when things like that happen? So we're going to go and reset the throttle levers. And while we're waiting for that, so we're taking off runway 32 this time, so it has changed. So rather than 14, so that makes sense why the ATC traffic had turned around, and in this few minutes the wind must have turned around. So we go flight plan, file, open from SimBrief, download it, create it, save changes, no. So there's our new flight plan. So obviously, yeah, it's taking off the same direction the AI planes were going now. We'll go over to Navigraph and do the same thing. So unload, import from SimBrief, the latest one. So we can see the standard instrument departure there. And if you're wondering, yes, everybody gets these stutters as the sim loads. I think if you have nothing in your community folder, it doesn't stutter as badly. So, Martin, I wouldn't be quite so quick on saying the plane's broken. It may be that there was something I'm not doing. But it is a bit odd that I used the, get it to take off. Or it may be, the most recent update to the simulator has broken it. It may all get fixed with the next... There's a huge update coming to the simulator very soon. So we're going to go for the 320, the Phoenix, and save and back. And we're going to go over to Leeds Bradford, which is up here. We'll put ourselves in roughly the same place. We were about here, weren't we? Start flight. So I think the Phoenix pops up its own dialogue, doesn't it, in front of the sim? It runs its own flight model. There it comes. So it's logging in as me, obviously. It'll come and say now that there's an update. You wait. No, we're lucky. I'm not using the beta. I never run the beta of Flight Sim. So we're just waiting for the weather to load in and the nearby area. and it's ready to fly. And I can see the back of my own head until I fix that, so we can walk around the aeroplane or underneath the jet bridge. So Shift and C takes us inside the aeroplane, and then Alt 8 will fix that. I need to load. You'd think I'd know the procedures now, wouldn't you, for the various different aeroplanes, but I'm not going to tempt fate. I'm going to go to Google Drive and type in Phoenix Flight Sim 24 A320 Phoenix checklist. Does it have custom views? No, it doesn't. Good. I'm going to check, though, before we do anything, what the throttles are looking like. They're perfect. So it's remembered that. Excellent. Okay. Pre-flight. Shift and 3 takes us to the tablet. All the keys are going to be different, aren't they? Visit the panel state section now. We don't need to do that. So Shift and 5 takes us overhead. We're going to find the battery switches in the dark. There they are. External power is available. We'll switch it on. And then we're going to go hunting for the dome light, which is here. We'll put it on bright so we can see everything really neatly. So, go and turn the APU on, and then hit the start switch for it. Put the cruise supply on. Set the emergency exit light to armed. Put the no smoking sign to auto. And then go and set the ADIRS systems to nav. Then we're going to go down to the tablet, visit the Phoenix app and pull in our flight plan. Then we're going to go and visit the mass and balance page of the Phoenix app. So we can load the aircraft instantly and then send that to this MCDU with that data. And then we can go to the departure performance app and we can sync the load sheet, sync the weather, and hit calculate, and that does it. We can send that data to the MCDU as well. So then we can go over to the MCDU, go to FMGC, and go to init, and we can do an init request. It's a bit quicker. Obviously it's a more modern aeroplane than the one we've just been looking at. So that's pulled that in, so we can clear out any messages that are arriving. We can do IRS init just to go and have a look. That's all fine. And return. Cost index. Let's go and have a look at our sim brief then. 5 is the cost index. Cruise flight level 330. Go so we'll put our flight number in, VFA073, and drop that in. Then we go sideways. We should be able to get the block fuel automatically. Oh, do we have to? Oh no, we have to put 0 fuel in first, don't we? So to do that, you have to. Oh no, the sim. Have I broken the sim? No, I'm just forgetting the keys. That's all. Was it Shift and 6 or Shift and 3? We want the weights, don't we? Which are in the Phoenix app in mass and balance. So we want the 0 fuel weight, which is 59.3. So how did we get to that? Oh, shift and 1, sorry. 0 fuel weight and the centre of gravity. So 0 fuel weight is 59.3 tonnes, and the ZFWCG, that's the gross weight one, that's a 0 fuel, yes, so 32. So 59.3 and 32. 59.3/32. Then we can do fuel planning. That gives us the block fuel, which we can confirm. And then if we look in flight plan, that will already be in here, but there's discontinuity obviously because we've not done the routing yet. So let's go in here, and it's the NELS 3W from runway 32. So EGNM, departure, runway 32, NELS 3W, insert, scroll through, see if there's anything to fix. Nope. So EGJJ, arrival. We're still coming in big N1K onto 08. So ILS 08, big N1K, insert it, and let's just look through, see if there's any discontinuities. Shouldn't be. No, it's all, oh no, there's one. So let's go and have a look at that then. So on Navigraph, why is there a discontinuity? Big no should go JW to CF08. That got rid of that. Okay, we're still waiting for alignment. We got a company message. Let's go and sort that out while we're here. So AOC menu. Receive messages. It'll be the load sheet. Yeah. So accept the load sheet and return, and accept the load sheet and return, and then come back to flight plan. IRS alignment in 4 minutes. I should have set it to instant, shouldn't I? So TCAS is on standby, so we're going to sort TCAS out while we're here. So we'll put that on TA, we'll go and put it on auto, and it's already on there. It's all good. Okay, so we just got a bit of a pregnant pause now while we're waiting for the IRS to align. And then we can look at starting the engines and pushing back. Oh, shouldn't be too long. So let's go and calibrate the altimeters. So we can go do the FMGC as well while we're here actually. So QNH, we've done that. Set the target altitude, so we're going to go straight for 34,000. Was it 34? Let's just double check that. 33,000. Manage mode on the heading, manage mode on the speed, manage mode on the altitude. It's so easy, isn't it, in an Airbus? You just configure it all and then let it go. This version of the Airbus doesn't have a physical standby attitude indicator. It's got a digital one, so you don't have to uncage it. So I think it's only the A318 or 319 that has it. So we've checked the company messages. And we are preparing for pushback and start. So set the seatbelt signs to on. We might as well go and tell the passengers to sit down, hadn't we? So that's over here. Set the beacon light to on. Go and put the fuel pumps on. I'm trying to kill time until we're ready to get going. You'll know because the navigation display will come alive. Got 2 minutes to go. So we can go over to the tablet and get them ready as well. So in the ground services, we'll get the cones removed. Obviously APU is up and running, so was it Alt and 1? No, Shift and 1. I can't remember the keyboard keys. Terrible. 5. So external power can come off because we're on the APU. Okay. So then we can go back to the tablet and we can remove the GPU from the aeroplane. How are we doing? 1 minute to alignment. So we can go and put the APU bleed on as well while we're waiting around. I don't want to move the aeroplane until the INS system is aligned. I'm not sure if it will affect it. I think it will. It should do. There we go. Hurrah! IR in align. And that should disappear again in a few seconds. So we are going to push back. So we'll have a play and see if this works in this aeroplane. It didn't in the last one, did it? So ground services, we want to go that way, please. Do we have to connect tug first? And is that actually going to do anything? Start. There we go. Oh, he's misjudged that turn, hasn't he? Oh, we've got another aeroplane in the same spot as us. Another AI plane, a 737. Okay, well, so we're going to see some very strange things in the cockpit in a moment. I'm surprised it's not showing inside the cockpit. So come off the parking brake, and we want to go back and to the left this time, don't we? Okay, why is the pushback not working? Oh, don't say the old... I don't believe this. We're going to press Alt and P. I wish, well, hoping in the next big update to the sim they'll have fixed the pushback, because it is so riddled with bugs it's untrue. It basically let go of the aeroplane as soon as we went and pressed a button. There we go. But we want it to go that way this time, because if you remember, we're taking off from that end of the runway. Oh, as Leeds Bradford. It would be helpful to look at the right airport, wouldn't it? Okay, so is LittleNavMap not seeing us? No, it isn't. Tools, connect, connect. Nope. And it's done it again. Okay, we're going to give it up as a bad job and just fire the engines up and turn the aeroplane round, no matter what we're nearby. So, parking brake on. Ignition on. APU bleed is already on overhead, so then we just start the engines. So you'll see it light up over here on N2. There it goes. So when that comes up, it's fully automatic on the Airbus. We don't have to do anything. So while we're doing that, let's go and put the flaps on the correct settings. So if we go over and look at the tablet, we can go and look on the departure performance calculator and see what flap setting it wanted. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Runway 32, flaps 3, and down of 04. Interesting. Let's just go and make sure it has calculated that and filled it in. Yes, it has. Flaps 3. It's because it's short runway here, isn't it? That's why. So flaps are travelling. Engine's coming up. It gets to about 60 and then we can start the other one. There we go. Start engine number 1. Let's go and reduce the range on the display so we can see on the navigation display properly what's going on. So, predictive wind shear needs to come on. I'm just watching the screen down here to see what we haven't done yet. You can hear the engines spinning up and igniting. Actually, what's the volumes like in this aeroplane? Yeah, it's very quiet compared to the other one, isn't it? Let's turn it back up for you so you get to hear everything. So this is going to be a bit of a tricky one because we're going to have to do an immediate left turn. So I'm going to come off the parking brake. Oh, was it? No, it was right turn, wasn't it? Sorry. Thankfully, the A320's turning circle is fantastic. Look at that. You have to be very careful at doing it slowly though, otherwise you just skid the tyres across the ground. And then we can get away from this ridiculous AI 737 that spawned on the same spot we were. I might have to switch off LittleNavMap and load it again. Obviously it's had a bit of a fit with seeing the aeroplane. Did we put the taxi lights on? No. I'm going to say that would help to see where we're going, wouldn't it? And is Navigraph's going to help us? Yes, it is. So we're going to go down here for runway 32. If we hadn't overshot, we're going to have to go round now. Trying to do 10 things at once, it never plays well, does it? So let's go back in the aeroplane. And we have head tracking. Going to put us back in the normal place where we're supposed to be sitting. And we'll try this again. So I can understand why the more complicated aeroplanes are in real trouble in the sim at the moment, because the sim is shifting sand. You know, it's changing underneath their feet, which is why aeroplanes are so often broken. But as soon as the sim becomes more stable, it'll be a lot happier. So, you know, the various developers will be able to make sure that the aircraft work correctly. There apparently has been encouraging noises from PMDG about their fleet of aircraft in 2024, given the new build of the simulator. It's resolved a lot of the problems that they were experiencing. That cloud's come down, hasn't it? So we don't need the APU bleed on anymore, now we've got the engines running. The APU itself can come off. see we're on a slight hill here, so you can see the city and the distance lighting the horizon up. So is there a turning area at the end? Yes, there is. So we continue on past, and yeah, you can just about see it down here, look. So we need to go and arm the spoilers. Just double checking. A few bits and pieces around the cockpit. Okay, nearly there. So the one thing I haven't done is the takeoff config check, so we're just going to hit parking brake for a moment. Now, does this aeroplane have the button to do it? Yes, it does. Takeoff config. Normal. Excellent. It means we haven't forgotten anything, basically. Oh, we have a breakdancing AI plane over there. We'll ignore that. The lights on this are tremendously bright on the runway, aren't they? Watching the speed now to see at what point we can pull the throttle back to climb. Just letting it get a little bit quicker, and the flaps can come back up a little bit more as well in a moment. I'll wait till we come through 200 knots and then we'll go to the climb to 10. The airplane's banking left, which is good. So let's climb to 10 now. We no longer need spoilers. Oh, the strobe wasn't on. Did I hit it by accident earlier, maybe? Interesting. Flaps up. And we are coming up through towards the QNH, so we can go to standard barometric pressure now. Does that do both sides? No, it doesn't. So then we just need to keep an eye on altitude and turn off the landing lights when we get to 10,000 feet. Monitor everything. Let's have a look right side. That is wonderful, isn't it? That kind of volumetric lighting from the landing lights. So we're holding 250 knots. There's obviously a restriction here in the flight plan. Yeah, 7,000 feet at Nilsa. And then we can climb. So let's go and increase the range on this. So yeah, there's Nilsa. So it's just flying this standard instrument departure. Let's go and have a look at it in Navigraph and see what it looks like. So we're flying Nilsa, slightly different than the diagram, strangely enough. And then we head off south. So I'm looking at the live stream comments now. Now I've got a chance and seeing comments about the Spectrum home computer. There's a modern take on the Spectrum available, isn't there? I'm not sure what sort of numbers it's available in, if you can still order it, or if it's a Kickstarter or something. But it's there are several, isn't there? There's a Spectrum Next is one of them, but there's another one that's appeared as well. Okay, so once we get through Nilsa, we'll start climbing, and then we just need to turn the landing lights off as we go through 10,000, and we'll be good to go all the way up to 33,000. If we want to cheat a little bit, are there any other restrictions on the way? Because if we do managed climb, it'll do the cheapest climb rate using the cost index. I guess, yeah, we ought to. Because if we go and play with open climb, we could end up very low on fuel towards the end of the flight. That's a good point. Did we go and fetch the wind earlier? So let's clear out the messages here. No. This will make the aircraft much more accurate, pulling in the wind data, so it takes it into account. So it's going to factor that into the route. Okay, so we turned at Nilsa. We're now climbing. You heard the engines spool up there. (8,000 feet). Climbing for 33. Isn't it good when the airplanes just work? You don't end up diagnosing and pulling the cockpit to bits, trying to figure out what didn't work and seeing if you can work around it or not. That's got me wondering about the A300. Why did the yellow hydraulics fail? And it failed repeatedly. It may be a bug, I don't know. So we've gone through 10,000 feet. Landing lights off and retracted. Those lights should have been off already. Should we let the passengers get up? So cabin lights off. And they can go and have a wander. So, I don't know if anybody watching is subscribed to my blog. I have an offer. So Say Intentions reached out to me a few days ago. They've got a new product coming out, which is a free Say Intentions. So obviously it's reduced in functionality from the full fat version, if you want to call it that. But there's going to be a free tier of Say Intentions that does basic air traffic control, I guess, but without lots of lots of voices, the things that ratchets the money up for them. And they've given me a whole bundle of invites to take part in early access to the free version of Say Intentions. So I am giving those out. I've given them out so far to the people who have bought subscriptions. So one of the ways I support what I do and the time I invest in doing this is I have paid subscriptions to the blog. It's only a tiny amount of money, but it's like the same price you might spend on half a magazine a month or something like that. So in return for paid subscriptions to my blog, you get not only will I give you early access at the moment to Say Intentions, but I often get given freebies to give away, or I'm offered the opportunity to give away freebies, and I've never done it in the past because I didn't have a way of distributing it. But I am now giving any freebies I get to the paid subscribers to the blog. Also, I've started writing articles for the blog. I'll go and show you some of them. So if we go to johnbeckett.substack.com, which is where the blog lives, so you can see there's the early access offer for Say Intentions. But also I've started writing some paid articles where you have to be a paid member or paid subscription to get to them. Things like the history of the 707, for example, is one of the recent ones I've just done. So it goes through telling you all about it. There's another one about the Comet I've just done. So I'm going over some of the famous aeroplanes with really nice articles that have taken me quite some time to write. Kind of talking all about their history and general interest about each particular aeroplane. So yeah, I'm kind of expanding the blog enormously, and I've got some more articles in draft at the moment about some of the famous planes, so that will be coming out as well soon. But yeah, the main thing to say today though is I've got these invites for Say Intentions. So if you pay for a subscription for my blog, I'll send you an invite and you can go play with it immediately. For the new free version of Say Intentions. So it's not free for 24 hours, it's free. But it's in early access at the moment. So they're relying on people like myself to give out the tokens as we wish. So John Wedge is saying about the BBC Master System in the comments. I had one. I had a BBC Model B. Until very recently. A family member gave it to me and it was in mint condition. I don't think it had ever been used. It had been in the store cupboard for like 40 years. And yeah, I had this BBC Model B and we put it on sale because it was just taking up room in the house eventually. I held on to it for years. And we sold it on eBay and it sold in seconds. It was ridiculous. The price went through the roof. Just trying to think what else. Old computers. I'm a bit of a so-and-so for retro computers. At the moment I've got a Raspberry Pi on the desk next to the PC that's running this, and it can become an Amiga, it can become a 1990s PC running Windows 3, it can become an Atari ST, it can become a Nintendo, it can become a Super Nintendo. It's ridiculous. It keeps me out of mischief. So when I'm not flying, I'm playing very old video games and annoying my children with them. Anybody in there that knows about the MAME project? I had a 1040 Atari ST. Yeah, it wasn't the 1024, it was the 1040. You've got the number wrong there. When anybody talks about the BBC having, the original one obviously was 32k of RAM, I always think about Elite. So David Braben and, I've forgotten the other guy's name that worked on it. Braben was the programmer and the other guy was Ian something, isn't it? He was the mathematician. Ian Bell, that was it. But yeah, somehow they managed to fit a universe. Obviously they did procedural generation decades before anybody else. But in 32k of RAM they created an entire universe. It's a stunning achievement. I read an article, it might have been in Retro Gamer magazine or somewhere like that. Oh, well, there's somebody very close to us, probably trying to get on the stream, I would imagine. Yep. V-press. Okay, what happened there? No, it was an AI plane, it wasn't a human. Now, is this all still okay? Yeah. Where's the rudder trim? I've got a feeling I've just pressed the wrong keyboard key, which has trimmed something. And no, rudder trim's in the middle. It's okay. Do I still use Volanta when I remember to? They have approached me several times in the past to get me to show new features of Volanta to the people that watch the channel. And I've done it at the time. And I think it's really good. If they could make Volanta update the aircraft positions more quickly, it would be a no-brainer to use it for air traffic control sessions. So, you know, when you've got a group of people and you want to have one of your number being the ATC. But I think maybe that the days of trying to do that have gone now, because with the likes of say intentions, if everybody in the group has say intentions, and if you have the full fat version, you can hear each other. So you can hear nearby aircraft are relayed to everybody that should be able to hear them nearby, you know, within 20 miles or so. But yeah, Volanta's great if you want a way of logging your flights so you can look back and see where you've been. It's a great way of doing it. And of course it works across many simulators. So if you're a bit mad and you've got all the simulators installed, then you can track them, you know, with P3D or whatever it is you use. X-Plane, Flight Sim 2020 and 24. I think it will even work with DCS. So Steve's saying, can you remember Crash? Yep. I remember as well computer and video games, CNVG. There was a documentary made in the UK a few years ago about that whole era and the journalists that worked on those magazines back in the day. I think they had Julian Rignall on talking about working, you know, in the magazine industry during the 80s computer boom. Yeah, so I remember all of that. I guess the modern equivalent is the Twitch streamers with their video game streaming, isn't it? So it's much more immediate now. It used to be pictures of games being played with breathless articles talking about how great they were or how rubbish they were. There's, who was it? What's the popular podcast about retro games? Oh crikey, my brain's failing me today. But anyway, yeah, they've had several episodes talking to people back in the day that worked at the likes of Ocean and companies like that, US Gold. And there were some huge fights between the magazines and the game publishers, similar to the Top Gear arguments, where, you know, car manufacturers complained about negative reviews. So it was a similar deal where if they wrote a negative review, then the publisher might not give them the next game to review. Oh, the aeroplane's still climbing. It's being rubbish though. Should we expedite the climb? How far have we got on the top of climb is being shown as 40 miles away from us at the moment. And then top of descent not long after that. But we'll leave it, because I don't want to go and blow the fuel getting to altitude in case we cause a headache for ourselves on the way down. But yeah, if anybody's interested, and if you haven't tried out buying a Raspberry Pi yet, it's the best way of emulating an Amiga. There are custom builds of probably, basically a micro SD card where you just image it, put it in the Raspberry Pi, switch it on, and you've got an Amiga. There are also, for the Raspberry Pi, pre-made builds of Linux with nice pretty front ends. Recalbox is one of them. There are several around, but they emulate all of the old 80s and 90s games machines. So you can go and get the abandonware ROMs off the internet. Obviously there's various different legal statuses of those ROMs, but you can get hold of them from archive.org, for example. Stick them on the SD card and you've got basically an arcade machine with thousands of games on it. Then you go and buy a Bluetooth controller from Amazon and you're off and running. You plug it into the TV in your lounge and you've got every arcade machine you ever saw when you were younger. Because it can run MAME as well within the Raspberry Pi. So MAME is the multiple arcade machine emulator, if anybody's wondering. See, I'm a mine of this useless information, aren't I? I've worked with computers for far too long. Okay, so we got top of descent in about 80 miles to come into Jersey, and it's night flight. And it's the Inibuilds version of Jersey we're heading towards, by the way. So we're coming in from the west on via the Shark waypoint. So it'll be runway 08. So if we go and have a look at the chart of that, and we'll fill in the details here. So we're going for ILS 08. That's interesting. Why is it doing JW and JW1? Localize the runway 8. We just want final, don't we? ILS final, add to route. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. So it's a fairly standard ILS. So obviously the standard terminal arrival route brings us in through Big No. That's the name of the start. We're still over the top of Wales at the moment. Look, we're nowhere near the channel yet. We're just coming down from Leeds in the north of England. So there is a hold here. It'd be interesting to see if that's part of the procedure that's appeared in the aeroplane. So let's go and have a scroll through. If we put the guidance system, or the navigation display, sorry, into plan mode, we can see where we are and we can step through. So if we use the up and down arrows now, so SIDHO, it's the second line down is centered on the display when you're in this mode. So Big No, no. So there's no hold pre-programmed at Shark. I just wondered if there might be. I mean, we could program one in, but I don't think we will. We'll just go straight in. Otherwise we end up flying around in circles for 10 minutes. Wind data uplink, that's telling us it did the wind data earlier. So we can pull this back out of plan mode to arc mode. So before we get to top of descent, we need to go and choose the altitude we want to come down to. Now if we're doing a managed descent, we can just look at this and say, what have we got here that we can go by? Not much really. I don't think there's any restrictions. There's restrictions over there, look, but not on the way in here. So you probably want to look at the ILS chart and say, what altitude do we need to come into the ILS at? So it's saying 2,000 feet. So if we, usually VNav is clever enough, well, we won't do it just yet, but if we go and set this to 2,000, it won't do anything. Well, you know, it won't make best efforts to get there. It will know about the projected altitudes all the way down the road. Sometimes you'll get the aeroplane asking you to help it decelerate, depending on the wind, but obviously because we've given it the wind, that shouldn't happen. It's got accurate winds. So let's go and look at the destination or descent. So then we want to put the QNH in for where we're going. So Jersey, information. Open the airport to go to the weather. 1027 hectopascals. And temperature on the ground in Jersey is 8 centigrade. It's asking for enter destination data. Look, as we started doing it, it was asking. So we've done that. Come back to flight plan. Should be quite happy with that. So we're going to drop the target altitude to 2,000 feet, and then obviously the aeroplane will follow any restrictions on the way down. But from what we saw, I don't think there are any. So we'll just start descending basically all the way down to Jersey. So just looking at the live stream comments, Sticker is saying there, can you imagine going back and telling your younger self, someday you'll have the ability to play every game you ever craved, all on one machine? The even better thing, I showed our kids this, is that everything about all of those games, so you could literally get all of the ROMs that are abandoned for all of the systems, so you know, maybe 30,000 games. And they will all fit on a wafer of plastic smaller than your little fingernail. It's insane, it really is. Just a couple of weeks ago, for storage purposes, for a project I was doing, I bought some micro SD cards, and I think I got 256 gigabyte micro SD cards for about £10 each. It's just madness. We have a company message. So we go to ATC Comms and AOC, and it will probably be the delays. So receive messages, VFA Ops, send ADC for 61 minutes. So come back out of here, and ADC delay, and I can't remember, the codes are in the tablet, aren't they? If we come back out of here, delay allocation card, what should we say it was? Can we say we had an A300 and it broke? Is there a code for that? Simulator restart, ESM. And we're going to put 61 minutes in and send it. There we go. So we've told them why we're running an hour late. We had to go and fetch another aeroplane. We've only told them half the story. So we're getting near to top of descent. So let's see how this version of the Airbus behaves. So I've pulled this down to 2,000 feet. Obviously I've not selected anything yet. So I'm going to push the knob towards the aeroplane, which is managed mode. And it's going to descend. Now what rate will it go at until we get to top of descent? Yeah, it's going to go at 1,000 feet a minute, look. Notice we're going below the profile. Because we've done it early. So the engines have wound back to idle. So it will start descending more steeply because it will catch up obviously with the profile when it gets a few miles further down the road. And then it will start descending more steeply. Let's have a look from outside. So Steve said, Jonathan, have you ever been tempted to learn to fly for real? Funnily enough, no. Because I know how expensive it is. And I would never, because I have a family, I would never sink that much money into something purely for my own entertainment. I think, I know everybody has different, values and ways they operate then, if you want to call it that. And I would never be able to justify to myself the cost of doing it. I know several of my friends that think that me doing this simulator stuff is the biggest wheeze ever. They can't believe the number of subscribers or the number of people that watch me do this on the internet. And we sit outside on the green outside the house sometimes in the summer, and they always ask how it's going. And they have been on and on at me saying I need to go down to Wickham Air Park, which is only a few miles down the road, and just pay for an instructor to take me up, film it with GoPros, and go and fly the real circuit. And either do it following the instructor or let's see if I can do it. But the only reason for that would again be to get traffic, because everyone who knows I do this say it's such an obvious thing to do that loads of people would probably be interested in, because you can obviously fly it in the simulator and then duplicate it from the airfield for real. So just go down to the flying club, borrow an instructor for a few hours, and then play the videos side by side, and then to have real feedback on how the simulator feels versus how the real aircraft feels. But again, you're looking at a lot of money to sink into doing that for no real return. In terms of, obviously people might watch the video and that's Google advertising money at the end of the day. But in terms of actual real output that's of benefit to my family, there won't be. So, what's the next question? Sabine said, how do you know when to do this? So, when we were flying along, there was a little down arrow on the path ahead of us. And the down arrow means top of descent. So based on best performance of the aeroplane, it would mean without using spoilers, you would need to start descending at that point. And it would factor in any restrictions on the standard instrument departure, sorry, the standard terminal arrival route. So in our case here, we haven't got any restrictions. But in more complicated ones, you know, with city airports and things, you might have altitudes and speeds you have to hit. So in an Airbus, it will figure all of that out for you and figure out where you need to start descending and mark it on the map. So then as long as you go managed mode, it will follow all of the restrictions. So it will slow down at the right points, it will, you know, descend to specific altitudes where it needs to and hold at them. But that all relies on it having really good data. So that's why it was important that we went into Init and fetched the wind data earlier. So that got the weather forecast at the different flight levels. And then it factors that into all of its calculations. If you don't do it, quite commonly you might see retard appear when you're descending, and you'll see this, we're still below the profile. The green dot is your projected profile in terms of your altitude. When it's in the middle, a bit like ILS, you're on the profile. If it's coming down, look. So we're still coming down at 1,000 feet a minute, which is a very shallow descent because we came down early. So we told the aeroplane we went to managed mode before we should have. But it's now catching up with the real descent line, and when it hits it, the aeroplane will start descending more steeply. So you literally could fly along and just watch the green dot, and when that starts to move, that's when you start descending. And if you fall behind it, you just throw the spoilers out, which mean you can descend, you know, more steeply and catch it back up. So it's commanding throttle idle, look, you can see that happening. It's getting ready, look, to hit the green dot. Watch the descent rate. So it will be going to the maximum descent rate in a glide. And it's holding the green dot, basically. So it's, and again, it can only do that accurately if it's got all of the wind data. So we can start zooming in now on the display. We're about 70 miles out now. And it will also factor in things like, you know, when you come through 10,000 feet, coming down to 250 knots. So it will give itself room to decelerate. We got another company message. Atsu AOC received messages. VFA Ops ADC receipt. Oh, it's just a receipt for the why are we an hour late. Yeah, so the down arrow is the top of descent. You'll see an up arrow and a down arrow. The up arrow means top of climb, or it's like a curved arrow, isn't it? So you've got top of climb and then top of descent. I don't think you get the green banana in the Airbus. It's a Boeing thing, isn't it? You know, the projected line where you're going to reach your target altitude. So we need to find out the transition altitude for the destination. It's usually on the ILS chart. 5,000 feet transition altitude. So that's where we switch over to local barometric pressure. So above that altitude we're using standard barometric pressure to make so all of the aeroplanes agree with each other in the area. But then once you get near the airfield, you're referencing the altitude relative to the airfield to make sure that you are accurate to where the ground is not to where each other are. Also, 10,000 feet we turn the landing lights on, but we're still coming down quite gently at the moment. We can turn on constraints. Yeah, there's a couple that are in here. That's the 2,000 feet look for the ILS that's shown up down there. It's hardly showing anything. On a more complicated approach, constraints might have speeds and altitudes on the various different waypoints. Obviously, you can turn on waypoints. So, just trying to think, this aircraft doesn't have the little table of flap speeds, does it? Several aeroplanes, there's a little, oh, it's here, sorry, I'm being silly. So there's the flap speeds and the maximums for each of them. So yeah, it's the basically never exceed speeds for the various different flap settings. So you know at what point you can safely drop to the next flap number. So flaps 1 at 230, flaps 2 at 200 knots, flaps 3 at 185 knots, and full flaps, or flaps 4, 177. I always forget to activate the chronometer. There's a stopwatch in most of these big jets, so you can time your flight. It's really for the paperwork, so you know how long the flight took. But it could come in useful with fuel burn and things like that if you're doing if you had a system failure and you're having to hand calculate anything. Why have we got so much fuel? Is it actually burning down? Why on earth would we be carrying that much fuel? We just did the load from Simbrief, didn't we? Let's go and look at the load sheet. Block fuel should have been 5173. And it's filled it essentially to the top. Oh my word. I'm sure that I filled the plane up in the payload page, didn't I? That's bizarre. Don't say this one's broken as well. That number's not going down, is it? It said 18100 the whole time. Oh, I know why. You know, earlier I said I thought I might have pressed the wrong button because the aeroplane moved slightly. It wasn't a trim. I filled the aeroplane up. There's a key combination that will do that. That could be an issue for us. We need to get rid of fuel, but it looks like it's maxed the aeroplane out. So when I hit that key combination, I was trying to turn nameplates on at the time, and we filled the plane up with a colossal amount of fuel. I bet there's no way of removing it in the air. Let's try it. Can we do it via the tablet? Aeroplane, flight performance, mass and balance, fuel. Yeah, look what that's done. We on. It's done it. So at least we're not going to crush the landing now. So we're just coming over Guernsey, by the way. It needs more drag. So you can see, look, the dot had started to diverge from where we were. So I've put out the spoilers. So the weather may have changed slightly. Land ASAP, that's because we're low on fuel now. Obviously, we are landing ASAP. Speed brakes are still out, so let's go and put the speed brakes back in. And reduce the range on the display. We'll go and double check the ILS, so it's 110.9, 83 degrees. So if we go and look in here and go to radio navigation, 110.9, it's all looking good. So yeah, this is just complaining about the fuel levels. We can clear that out and it will stop talking about it. So it's saying the centre tank's empty. It's fine. So land ASAP. We're not far out. We've got 3,000 fuel. About 20 miles out, 25 miles out. Reduce the range again. Coming down to 10,000 feet. We're still on profile. So 10,000 feet, landing lights come on. It'd be great if this pea soup fog wasn't here, wasn't it? Should we have a look from outside? So there's Jersey, and there's the airport. And this mist that we are lighting up famously. Obviously we are idling all the way in, so we're not burning that last bit of fuel that we had at all. And we're falling behind the profile again. So spoilers again. So let's just go and remind ourselves as well, we need 1027 hectopascals for the local barometric pressure once we come off of standard, which we do at 5,000 feet. So I'm having to feather in, should we get the passengers to put their seatbelts on, by the way? We're having to feather in the spoilers just to hold the profile. There's the runway, there's the turn into it. Yeah. So if we go head tracking and look around the pillar, you can see the runway over there now. Coming down to 8,000 feet. Right. 12 miles out. So Coke and Twirl says, simple question, how on earth do you know all of this? Watching, reading, practicing, reading some more, practicing some more, messing around with the aeroplanes to learn what happens if I do this, what happens if I do that. So the airplane should start turning. Let's have a look at the autopilots, make sure they're good. So as soon as we're lined up, we can switch to both autopilots 1 and 2. So we've got a master caution about the speed brake still being out. It doesn't like that we are riding the speed brake. So gear down. That would give us a ton of drag, so we won't need the spoilers anymore. So what was the maximum for flaps 1? 230 knots. We're doing 230 knots. We seem to be very high, don't we? I don't like this one bit. We're way too high. Okay, I'm coming off the autopilot. So we're in danger of overspeeding the flaps. Okay. Yeah. What we're going to do is an orbit. The autopilot got that horrendously wrong for some reason. So we're just going to keep an eye on our altitude. We're looking to descend to 2,000 feet, remember. I probably missed something when we programmed the route, to be honest. Oh, it's like a 1 pixel. What was the barometric pressure again? 1027. Oh, it's only like 1 millibar difference. So we are relying on the instruments because obviously we can't see a thing out of the windscreen. So we're off to, obviously, to the left side of the localizer. We're still above the glide slope. Here comes the glide slope. And here comes the CDI. We're going to be off to the right now. Yeah, just. Sorry for the aerobatics display. I was hoping to come in nice and smoothly on the autopilot, but it looks like we're going to take over. We were way too high, weren't we? I wonder what went wrong with that. Oh, I wonder if it's because we dumped all the weight out of the aeroplane. If it threw the systems out.
1,000.
Still high. Getting there. So touchy.
100. 50. 40. 30.
We're going to go long.
20. Retard.
Whoa, horrible landing. Horrible landing. And now the nose wheel steering is playing up as well. Oh well. I really should have gone round. That was a very, very bad example. Should we go and, just to prove this can be done properly, how much fuel have we got left? 28. Yeah, we've got enough to go and take off and go around again. Got to wait for the servos to straighten up the front wheel. Doesn't like me opening the throttles, does it? So we're going to go back up the other end of the airfield and take off and do a circuit to prove the ILS works, really. And someone said in the live stream chat, how do you know all this stuff? This is how. Not just giving up and walking away and saying, oh, that was really bad, but actually having another go and learning and folding in everything that you know and everything, you know, the way things should go. The question there is where we were messing around with the weights on the way in, where we realised there was a key combination earlier that did something strange to the sim. Can we not go straight across there? No, it's grass. We have to go round. But yeah, I often joke that every flight I do ends up being a test flight in one way or another. And sometimes I get bad feedback through being, you know, so experimental and trying things. But then it's a simulator. And this is one of the wonderful things about simulators, is that you can do these things. Why are we still getting... Oh, we're not in takeoff configuration, that's why it's complaining. Runway ahead. It's pretty dark, isn't it? There's the runway. So what we're going to do, we're on runway 08 again. So we're going to be using selected mode to do this. We've got just enough fuel to do it, which is fine. So we're going to, instead of using a flight plan, note 7, put the parking brake on, and we're creeping forwards because the Airbus will do that. There's a small amount of positive thrust. So 80 degrees. And we pull the bottom of the knob, which pulls it towards us, so it's us making the decisions. We'll go to 2,000 feet again, so we pull the bottom of the knob, which will do an open climb. And we go. So we haven't got any calculations for the rotation, but we know it's about 140 knots typically. So gear up, hold 80 degrees for the moment, and we'll go autopilot on. So it's 80 degrees to 2,000 feet at 2,500 feet a minute. So let's go for 2,500 feet. So we're overspeeding the flaps at the moment. Oh. There we go. Took them a while to travel. Why is it not... I'm going to have to turn the head tracking off. It's making me too slow at doing things. There we go. So 2,000 feet a minute up to 2,500 feet. It's complaining about the QNH because they differ from each other. We we know it should be 1027. We can cancel that warning. Why is it still flashing? Interesting. So we're at 2,500 feet. We're going to fly the reciprocal, so 80 degrees, that's going to be 260, yeah? He says, as the mouse misses it by 1 pixel and zooms. And does it again. So I can show you this on, have we got a LittleNavMap running? No, we haven't. Oh, of course we shut it down earlier, didn't we? That's a shame, because otherwise we're not going to get to see the line of us flying around now. If we center ourselves. So we're about to go back out this way and then turn back in again. So Jersey is at 300 feet above ground level or thereabouts, so that's going to make, for a 3-degree glide slope 8 miles out, it's about 2,800 feet. So we're at 2,500 feet, which means we'll come in below the glide slope, which is perfect. So we're just coming round to 260 degrees, which will be obviously the reciprocal. You can see on the chart here and on LittleNavMap. The wind is pushing us further away though, so when we come out of the turn at the other end, we'll be further away, we'll be to the right side of the glide slope. Yeah, because we've got a 13 knot crosswind going on. And this keeps centering itself because it does that. So there's the airport. Why is it complaining? Oh, it's complaining it hasn't got a managed speed. That's funny. Oh, of course we have the auto throttle on, but is it because it's outside of its range, I guess, because we've still got flaps? Yeah. So we'll take it out to 230 knots. We've got a cabin pressurization fault now as well. Great. How much fuel have we got left? 2,400 kilograms, plenty. So there's the airport. Why will that not stop flashing? Because it doesn't want standard barometric pressure because we're not above the transition altitude. So when we get out to about parallel with the end of the ILS, we'll turn back around and bring it back in, and we'll have a much easier job of it. Let's just go and check the nav radio. Oh, it's wiped it out because we touched the ground. So 110.90. Okay, that's all we need to know, and we can put the course in for the VOR as well if we wanted to, or for this. So the course will be 83 degrees. Yeah, it won't pick it up. Look, it's supposed to get this from the computer. We could program in the destination again, or we can just use the VOR information. So we've got the glide slope coming back up, look. So when we turn around, we should get the signal back. Famous last words. So we did the last turn at 220 knots, didn't we? So let's spin it back around to 80 degrees and see what happens. So we're now below the glide slope. We're far enough away. It's interesting, it hasn't got CDI or HSI showing. Why? There's obviously the signals coming through on the VOR radio. Why don't we have it here? Maybe we have to do it in the flight plan. Yeah, and it hasn't got a flight plan because we touched the ground. So we'll give it a flight plan. And go to flight plan in here and go Jersey. We're coming in, arrival, runway 08, and insert that just to give it something to go on. Is it going to wake it up? No, it isn't. So we're going to be manual again. How strange. So we're above the glide slope. So we're throwing the spoilers out and ascending quickly. Luckily it's a nice clear night, so we don't need the CDI. It's bizarre that it's not giving us anything on the navigation system. Because that's the radios. The landing system is the radios. Obviously we can see it here, look. We can see the pappies, we can see the centre line, obviously we can see the runway. So we need to stabilise the speed a bit better this time than last time.
1,000.
So we are fully manual again. Pappies are still saying where... Oh, here we go.
Light slope.
40, 30, 20, retard, 5.
Still bounced like a crazy thing, didn't it? I guess that was that small crosswind. Caused us a little bit of trouble, but not too much. That's bizarre that we couldn't get the guidance to work. Had to use a combination of just VOR wouldn't show the landing system at all. Strobes are on auto, so we're good. Go and park the aeroplane and back in time for tea and medals. It wasn't the flight directors, was it? No, because that shouldn't affect it showing the CDI. Anyway, you live and learn. So, oh, of course, yes, I hadn't switched the landing system on here. But doesn't that would only show it though here? That still wouldn't stop it from appearing here. Let's just stop the airplane for a moment. Because obviously touching the ground again, I think will have wiped out the settings. No, it's still tuned in, look. Nothing. There's no course or CDI. That's really odd. Should go and park next to that A330 over there. We'll go and tell him the tale, or tell the ground crew the tale. So, well, we started the evening in the A300. That had hydraulic failure twice. So we switched to the A320. And then it came in on the approach, bizarrely. But then we had messed around with the fuel en route, so that may have explained that one. Well, that's interesting that we've got one of the original coloured aeroplanes from 2020 showing up. I thought they'd all been eradicated from the sim now. They still exist. Should we come in on number 3? Oh, this wing's a bit close, isn't it? We're not going to find anywhere to park at this rate, are we? We have to go all the way around the A330. Or do you think we'll fit? No, his wing will hit us there. Oh, there's a gap over there, isn't there? How dare they be parked at the same place we want to be parked? So we'll have a look around the airport here as well when we finally park up. So this is the Inibuilds version of Jersey. I came in here the other day actually, but it'd be nice to see it at night time. See what the night lighting is like. This will do. There's a gap. Parking brake on. And now what we can do is play games in the tablet with giving ourselves the external power. So if we go to ground services and attach the GPU to the aeroplane, then we get external power up here, and then we can switch the engines off. So off, off, we had ignition on, which was a mistake. And we can go and turn some of those lights off. Can we get stairs? D-board. Will that do it for us? No. So, left door open. Forward stairs. There we go. Should do the other ones as well. So, open that door as well. Put the aft stairs in place. There we go. Perfect. Obviously I've not got the add-on installed that makes people walk around the aeroplane, which is a bit of a shame, but... Okay, so I promised to go and have a look around the airfield. So... Oh, I've unplugged the... We had the control glitching, didn't we? So I've just plugged in the Xbox controller. It's all the little nice touches, like the diesel generator making the right noise, isn't it? It's in stereo as well. Oh, so they've opened the baggage compartments. What's the whine noise? Is it coming from my airplane or someone else's? It's very annoying, whatever it is. Anyway. Oh, I think he's been in the pub, hasn't he? And she's not talking to him. Let's go and have a fly down through the airport then. There's a lot of flags in here, isn't there? Do you know, I swear I've seen that guy before. He's trying to chat her up. She looks quite impressed. So I'm presuming there's more to this than just that little bit of corridor. Yeah, there's a main building over here. The night lighting's great, isn't it? So let's go in through the main entrance as passengers normally would. I will admit the distorted faces are giving me Doctor Who vibes. There's something very disastrous has happened here. But this is Jersey Airport, made by Inibuilds. It's good, isn't it? So let's fly in down through security. Got some invisible security stuff. Then airside, we've got the cafes and duty free selling a world of junk. Or world of duty free even. And where can we fly to from here today then? Birmingham, Heathrow, Guernsey, Southampton, Gatwick and Luton. Wonderful. Same on that screen. It's really nicely done airport, isn't it? Should we go and have a look around outside? So let's go and wind the clock back. Middle of the day. Let's find out what it looks like in the daytime. So this is the original building, I'm guessing, from the 1940s by the look of it, from the design of it. And then you've got the modern terminal over there. We can fly across the terminal towards the control tower. And drop in through the glass. See all the aeroplanes, including ours parked over there in the distance. So when I came into here the other day with the Sim, I was in the GA parking over in the corner there. It's interesting, isn't it? Looking around all these different airports that you can get for the simulator that make it a bit more like the real thing, or the real places. So there's a Gamma Aviation hangar over here. Oh, and it's drawing things with load on demand as we get there. So I was going to say that's a Sky Courier. Very cool. Legacy 500. Don't think I've heard of that. Embraer. Citation longitude. And another one. What have we got parked up this way then? So it's a King Air, isn't it? Yeah. 350. And I'm going to admit I can't remember what this is. Is it a Saab? Is it a Saab 340? Might be. Another citation, and a glider that's miraculously levitating. And then we've got the A350 and a little Boeing. That's a really baby Boeing, isn't it? Is that the 600? And there's us, and the Boeing, that looks like a 700 maybe? Or an 800? No, 700 I think. Another Airbus, and one of the AI planes with his wing almost in the wall. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for the evening. We've had a good look around at both airports. We had an unintentionally adventurous flight, so you never get a dull moment with me, do you? We always end up experimenting and breaking something and then having to work around something, and one day I'll do a really boring flight from A to B where everything goes perfectly. I won't have anything to solve and it will be quite boring. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed that this evening, and I'll be back over the weekend at some point, I imagine, flying something somewhere. I know people have asked if I could do more of the GA flights around the place, so, you know, scenic tours of places. So if anyone's got any suggestions, do send me an email. I know someone's asked about going to the Himalayas because they're interested in seeing what Everest and K2 look like in the simulator. So that should be interesting. I'll see you all soon. Take care.